Yo, yo, yo.
Hello.
Another show. Another few things have happened since our Navy bowl game the other day. Getting ready to discuss all that.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I forgot it was
to,
just
yeah, what is it? The
3 days ago?
Yeah,
It was 164th.
64th stream, which is kind of wild to think about.
Again, not for us.
Not for us, but for our channel, which still is kind of wild. But a lot of news breaking recently, a lot of stuff going on that we were going to discuss. First off, bit of good news. Dominic Williams set to return for OU, one of the key pieces to the defensive line, which was, of the maybe seldom high points of the year. There were certainly, the defensive line was certainly a high point for our team. And to be able to retain him and keep him is a big deal and something that, can only help your team going forward.
Right. I don't know. It's really
What else
kind
to
of
add?
what else to add to that.
Funny enough, there were those rumors of a deal already being struck or whatever that seemed to upset some of the people in his camp. Seems all that was worked out and all that was good. Maybe just wanted to announce on his own accord, and seems like all that got worked out. I know that we were still waiting on R. Mason Thomas announcement. I know some people thought that was a done deal, but some, it seems like they're still discussing some things. So hopefully that comes soon as well.
Yeah. No, hopefully that one. And if not, then, good luck, I guess, wherever you go. I'm at the point that, and not necessarily if he moves on to the NFL, but, for anybody, coaches, players, fans, if you don't want to be with OU, or if you want to take the next step, by all means, if you want to take the next step to the NFL, of course we're going to cheer you on. If you want to go to another school, all right, so be it. I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel, just because that's apparently just the game that college football has turned into. So, if you don't want to be here, I guess don't be.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hate when fans are like, don't leave us. But on the other side, I hate people are like, you need to transfer, or don't let the door hit you on the way out when kids aren't even saying they're leaving OU. Like that is extra annoying too, but
Yep.
Just let the pieces fall where they may.
And speaking of, people out of the door, we all saw this happen. Yesterday, late Saturday, while all of the other games were going down, we hear there's rumor of a move to West Virginia for Zach Alley. And I think the key thing to point out here is this point right here, right? So first off, you have him going back to West Virginia, or you have him going to West Virginia to be with Rich Rodriguez, who he was at Jackson State with. Rich kind of gave him his first opportunity at the college level to call his plays. He was a graduate assistant under Brent Venables. And I think there's a couple interesting points about why he may have made the move. I know a lot of people are taking this as, no one leaves Oklahoma to go to West Virginia. And generally that's true. I mean, that's no one typically that wants to move up in the coaching ranks would do that. However,
especially now that we're in the SEC. But continue.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. But if you are a co-defensive coordinator and you are working for a defensive, one of arguably the greatest defensive mind in the modern era, certainly one of them up there in any conversation with anybody, there is going to be some belief that your success really is dependent and really is a result of who you work with. And I think for Zach, a lot of what the reasons why he left, and there are some BV implications too, that I'm going to, that we'll talk about maybe and get into. But for Zach, to me, it seemed like he wanted to be able to run his own show, get full credit for running it, and to be able to say that, he gets obviously the title bump to assistant head coach and just sole defensive coordinator. And, for me, I think if he would have went somewhere else that he had no relation and that he had really no reason to believe he would have a better scope of what he was able to do, I would be more just, I guess, pressed or shocked or the sky's falling on the defensive side of the ball than I am really. For me, not much changes. I hate to say that. Teddy made a great point when he was discussing it about how, not to talk. Obviously, Zach's a great coach. He's very talented. He is certainly stings to lose. I just don't think that it's this, of the issues that I have with OU football right now, him leaving just isn't one that really even, it's more of okay, well, we'll get someone in there. Or if in a perfect world, have Brent just solely focus on the defense, sort of an Aranda at Baylor type thing. And just have Arbuckle do whatever he wants on offense and have no. I mean, even if you don't even, I don't care if you even know the plays. Just let your guy that you got in save you. And what are your thoughts on that? Kind of what do you think about his move and just how it impacts and what it really means on a larger scale, maybe?
As far as like his move, based on rumors, if he did say to the locker room he was staying and then didn't, not a good look. But again, that's just rumor, so maybe that didn't happen. I know people were mentioning his post game, saying it was very vague. I don't know. To me, when you use the word "us," it's not too vague. If I'm talking about us and you and I, then the next day I divorce you, you're gonna be like, "Wait, hold on, what do you mean us going into the next year?" So that's just my 2 cents on it, on that part. But with that being said, it wasn't to me, as you mentioned, like the sky is falling. Just because we have Brent Venables. We have one of the most legendary defensive people. Most legendary? Is that a term? Whatever. We get it. Somebody that we know and trust with the defense. And so, I mean, I know we talked about it. And you already said it. If Brentables, I made it as... Anyways. If he did just want to run the defense by himself, then go for it. But then definitely giving full reign to Ben Arbuckle. On the offensive side of the ball. I don't think that would be necessarily be a bad thing, because it's just where your greatest strengths are, so to say. And again, I can't imagine, because I know that Zach Alley said that Brent Venables is like a second dad to him. It would be a little hard to work under your dad, or to, like you mentioned, maybe feel like you don't have that free reign, or you're always working under him, or he's always going to have something to say. Or we know that there were times in press conferences, defense was the reason we were in the game, and Brent's still out there saying, "Oh, we didn't play well enough on defense." You're like, wait. Yeah. They played pretty stinking good. Like, they're the reason we even had a chance. It was just an offensive inability to score is the reason why we couldn't win.
Right.
So I do feel like maybe that would be hard. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. That would just kind of just carry on off of yours, but. So he's co-defense. Who's the other one?
I believe Bates, and I'd have to double check on the other co. I believe that's all it was.
All the we had like several co's this year. Yeah. It just got kind of be tricky to me. All the name. I go to the ladies' clinic, and even then I'm like, wait, with the exception of like
usually it's pretty clear,
kind of like the set few.
Yeah.
But we got a lot of good defensive coaches, and I don't think losing a guy who is here a year is too bad. But.
Well, and so for me, there's also the aspect of, when you're a GA under a coach, you wonder if you ever can escape that moniker of being the GA, and if you're ever going to be seen as someone that he can really turn the reins over to, and especially someone like Brent, who's a control guy, control freak in every sense. He likes to have his hands in every pot as the head coach, which I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. It can become one if you micromanage. Because you're dealing with coaches that have egos too, and that have aspirations to move up and to become, their own, forge their own path in the coaching ranks. And I think sometimes whenever you are so micromanaging, if that's what happened here, and it seems like, and I think your point too about how, because we talked about that whenever there'd be games. I think the South Carolina game, one of the games I can't remember the first comments out of his mouth where the defense gave up too many. I think it was South Carolina. And he said, we can't give up the defensive. We let them get too many explosive plays. And you're thinking your offense scored 14 points on you. Like, your own offense scored half their points.
Yeah. And the longest drive they had, was 70 yards, I think. And other than that, they had to go 30, 40 yards because of where we were giving up the ball. Yeah, no, for sure. That was one of the times I was like, I didn't know. I get that you should always strive for perfection.
Yeah.
But, one, not possible. Two, that's not the real issue.
Right. It's just not.
But.
Right.
I guess nobody gives up. I guess if you give up 0 points, but that's just not going to happen most of the time unless you're playing a small school.
Venables will have to be hiring a 6th coordinator. And that is, I don't know how you can spin that to make it sound like that's a great thing. Yeah. I do think there is just some just astronomically just bad luck that has happened throughout these 3 years that have just been indescribable in terms of how I don't, and again, maybe this all is a Brent Venables thing, and it's going to be the end all be all for him. There is a belief that Brent is a certain type of person who is very type A, and he has a way he likes going about things. And even going back to the Kel Gundy days when he was here, there was always this rumor of a disconnect between the two, or between him and other coaches. I don't see it his way, maybe. Brent is a guy that gets at the campus and gets at the facility at like 4:30, 5 a.m. and he leaves like at 9, 10. And he's a guy that starts meetings later, doesn't know when they're exactly going to be going because he's doing other things throughout the whole day. And it's just hard, especially when you're a young coach and you have a family, you have a wife and kid, family you're trying to raise. To say, hey, we're gonna, we're supposed to have a meeting at 3. It turns out to be 5, and how long is it going to be? It'll be 10, and it's just every single day like that. And it's one thing to expect, GAs that are just trying to get a name and just get their foot in the door somehow to be able to make those kind of sacrifices, and it's almost expected. It's another thing for coordinators to do that, and especially coordinators that are established. There were especially past coordinators that may be gone now, or past position coaches. Sometimes it doesn't fly with some of them. So if you're a Brent Venables type, how do you adjust that for moving forward? Because I don't think Barbuckle comes to Oklahoma wanting to be managed like that. I think he wants to be able to come here, use what he does, do what he does best, and have be able to spread his wings and do what he does. And if it's going to be a issue where he is not able to do that, then I worry that might still lead to some of the same issues that we're seeing right now. And for me, I don't know where it's going to be and I think I wanted to do this together, like a doomer, go full doomer on what's going on, and then go full sunshine because I think the truth's between that, and it's been a fun mental exercise to do that. So, what are your thoughts? Full doomer, maybe, or if you had anything to add before that, then what would you say? And then let's go sunshine, and then probably in the middle is where the truth really lies.
Okay, full doomer. We are doomed. There's no coming back. I feel like we like Winifred from Hocus Pocus. We're doomed. There's no hope. Mm-hmm. That nobody's gonna want to come here to be the DC. Not that I think we necessarily need somebody to come in for that. Oh wait, was that the sunshine pumping part? Mm-hmm. That we're doomed because I don't know. Just we're doomed in general. It's hard for me to be a full doomer, I guess, and not that I'm full on sunshine pumper either, because that's annoying as well. But I don't know. I was just. I don't know. I see your point, too, of when you're working with someone like Brent Venables, where it is, like, detail-oriented and very type A. Mm-hmm. And, unfortunately, not everybody's like that. And as a fellow type A-er myself, I get very annoyed with my type B colleagues or husband. And so I could see where that could be, kind of exhausting. Or you feel like maybe... Like I've already said, it's just like you can't, like in you too, that you can't get out of that GA role, that you don't kind of like you can't grow. There's always going to be like that relationship, instead of like head coach to an assistant-ish coach to, a head coach and a GA. Like those are definitely different relationships, so I can see where it'd be hard to get out of that. But that's just us speculating. That's nothing that I've heard or like, it's just... You wonder.
You do.
I guess it'd be you'd wonder. As far as like the sunshine pumping side, I just think...
No, don't do that. Well, yeah, go ahead. Could do your sunshine. Yeah.
Dang. Sunshine pumping side, I think all is well. I think we have a lot of keys coming back on defense. I think that we have Brent Venables, who, if there's one thing he's going to do, it's get his defense right, or it's going to be the focus. So I'm not super concerned about it. I think they'll either stay in-house or just, like we mentioned, have Brent Venables run the defense, Arbuckle run the offense, and coach for their lives. So coach for their lives. That was intense, but you get what I mean. So
they're coaching lives with OU.
Yes. So I feel like that would be good. Whoa.
All right, before I get to mine, we'll go ahead and run through these comments. Can anyone tell me what is going on with Jim Traber? I haven't heard anything about that, so I would have to check that out. Sorry, Mr. Sooner. I don't have any idea what you're talking about. I'm sure it's
Dusty Dvorak.
I'm sure if it involves Jim Traber, he said something that he thinks is 100% correct, and it's probably trying to tell Dusty Dvorak how to be a defensive lineman, which is ridiculous. Merry Christmas to you, man. Happy New Year as well. Zach said, I hope you have a great New Year and Merry Christmas. Thanks. Or in Boomer. Back at you. Who's y'all's prediction for the new DC? We're gonna get to that. I want to get through this one segment real quick.
That will be Chad's area because I'll be totally honest, I didn't even care enough to try to look into it because I was like, we have Brent Venables at.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have to have our head coach completely coach the defense, then by all means, I don't really. So that'll be Chad.
How would you feel about bringing in Gary Gibbs as a defensive consultant? I would love that. I'd like my dad to be at more. My dad coached with Gary. My dad was a GA when was on the staff when Gary Gibbs was there.
Was that your dad?
Yeah, my dad would be so good at that. If any of y'all know one of the coaches on the staff, tell him to reach out. That'd be so sick. Wow. You think I'm playing? He really could. That'd be awesome. And it's all about connections at that level. So if any of you guys connect, go ahead. Dominic Williams returning. Yes, we mentioned that starting out. That's a big retainment. Yeah, retainment.
Either.
And just it helps you also because now you don't have to worry about going and finding another guy that you have to get out of the portal that you don't know if they're going to transition well.
Right.
So I believe Amos and Thomas. Now, so. Yeah, so he agreed. We don't know. We have heard that he agreed to there was an agreement. We don't know. Obviously, he hasn't announced anything yet. It would be nice to have him back. That's for sure. If he goes to the NFL, then okay, it stings. But if he goes to another team, if he enters the portal, is where I think you start. I would have a bigger worry or issue if he were to do that. If you go to the NFL, if you lose a guy to the NFL, it's their life, it's their dream. You can kind of accept that and move on. But without it being the optics being too bad. So hopefully he can he returns and if he leaves, it's at the NFL.
Right. Well, you were saying we had heard that he agreed on a deal, and then it was the next day was the interview where he said he was still deciding.
Yeah.
So
he was in deep thought.
And then again, I guess One Oklahoma had posted a picture with him and then took it down, and he put on socials that so who knows? Nobody
football,
knows.
April 12th. There we go. We'll see a whole new team. It's going to be exciting. I agree to you. Roster cut.
Talking about players who want to go. If you're if you're getting cut to, that's a different story. But I kind of think at this point, are they even making cuts still, or have we made it down?
What?
Have we made it down? Are we still making cuts, or have we made it down?
I'm not sure what the total scholarship roster spots are. I'm sure they've made it lower than the 85. 105 is going to be tough. But Chad and T, what is he didn't want to be labeled? If you're asking why wouldn't he want to be labeled as a Venables defense guy, it's not that he wouldn't want to be labeled as a guy that learned under him. It's that coaches don't want to have the tag that when you're on a team that has a great defense and a great defensive mind, you can be labeled as a guy that's only successful as the play caller because you're underneath that coach. It's kind of what Levy had when he was at Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin. A lot of people, were pumping up his offensive numbers when he got hired as OU's offensive coordinator, and you would read the replies and it would say, "Dude, he's under Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's calling the offense." So to a lot of people nationwide, although we as OU fans know that's not true, a lot of people just assume he's not. He's like defensive coordinator in name only. That Venables is still calling the defense and making the key decisions. And if you're a young coach, not wanting to make your own name, that might be an issue with you staying at Oklahoma. Now you could say VB, that's where you should have considered that whenever you hired him, but I don't think he knew a guy like Rich Rodriguez who was as close to Zach Alley, maybe the one coach in the country that has a closer relationship right now with him than Venables does, was going to get a head coaching job. And I don't you couldn't have predicted that, but it is what it is, and they're where they are, and you got to just make the best decision moving forward. So just like Bob Stoops said, when Muleshoe left, nobody's big enough. Absolutely, no one. Case in point. Did anyone know the DC at TCU under Gary Patterson? Exactly. Yep.
And in theory, I would say that's kind of true for most teams. You don't know who their coordinators are. You know who the head coach is, and all blame falls on them no matter what. Which, again, that's part of your job as a head coach is you do take that blame. But, it's not always 100% your fault, the case. But
yeah, if I asked y'all who Josh Henson was, you would have no idea. But if I said he's a USC offensive coordinator, you would say, no, he's not. Lincoln Riley is. Mm-hmm. So, it's just the same thing. So I get that. And if that's his reason for leaving, then I really can't blame him. I understand making those moves. Right. Do you see any that we need to get to that you think? All right, let's get to my doomer and pumper, and then we'll get to the new DCs hired. How about that?
Sure. There's so many chats that pop
No,
up.
this
It's
is
like
awesome.
hard to
This is
keep
great.
track of, but we love it.
Oh, Teddy was going on Travers. See, this is what bothers me about the people with the hindsight of 2020 trying to sound like geniuses, and this is why I need to be on radio to let everyone know why they're wrong, because it would make the world so much better. It bothers me because it's like the people, and we mentioned this. You mentioned it all the time. It's like the people that predicted us to go 6-6, and then we lose half our roster. We lose 9 starters on offense through injury, and we go 6-6, and they go, well, I told you, I predicted it. No, you didn't, you idiot. You predicted us to go 6-6 fully healthy. We probably are a 10-win, 9-win team. I won't say 10, 8, 9-win team if we have all our guys, if our talent just isn't on the sideline. Mm-hmm. So Teddy says that. First off, he didn't expect he didn't expect to have the issues you had this year with getting your best talent on the field. If you would have told Teddy, I guarantee you, if you would have told him, hey, you're going to lose your starting quarterback who's about to be who was a Heisman finalist this year, and you're going to lose your offensive coordinator, and after that year, the year that you get back, you're going to have 8 starters out or eight starters out for whatever reason on offense the entire year. I doubt he would say they're going to win a national championship within 3 years. Right. He would say, "Oh well, I didn't know. I mean, that's stupid." But guys like Traver, I don't know, guys that have that mindset, right, that sit there and laugh. I mean, it's just such cheap hanging fruit. It almost is like a reflection of them.
And honestly, if we've already talked about it with this year's defense, which would have returned if we would have had the offense return. Granted, Dale and Gabriel wouldn't have been on the offense, but if we would have had the wide receivers and the offensive lines, we would have had the offense from 2023 and the defense 2024, which in theory we should have had for the most part. Mm-hmm. We 100% should have been there. But again, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but you're never going to know if there was ever a time portal continuum wormhole that you could look into different routes of the universe. Like what would have happened if you had not. 100% think that Teddy would have been valid in that. But unfortunately, when your offense is wiped clean and you're playing in the hardest football conference, you're not going to look too good. So
it's a ridiculous thing to just assume that, just to make that point and say like he was an idiot for saying, he was so stupid for saying that. No, or
how about this one? What if we would have kept Levy?
Yeah, I mean, I just
without the injuries.
Yeah, or I just don't know.
I just think without the injuries.
Yeah, I think you're fine with that if you just have all your talent out there. The fact we have to make that point is just shocking to me. But anyways, if we are healthy the whole year, we might win South Carolina, maybe in Tennessee. Yeah, and people forget we were only down 7 points to Texas for like 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and then you have back-to-back fumbles, giving them short fields, and now it looks like a blowout. That game wasn't unwinnable if we have all of our people, and that's the main thing I'm hoping they're looking for in the portal is durability. Ole Miss
should have. I mean, we had leads in those games and just kind of gave it away offensively. I think of other ones.
Yeah, it's all one of those.
But we get it. We're gonna just keep beating that point, but it's whatever. No, I don't get why people. I mean, I get why people go after that because one, they want engagement. Two,
right?
They they want engagement. That's kind of what it is. Just period. People like engagement farming because $10 on Twitter is worth your dignity and pride. Couldn't be me, but it just I saw that and someone's like, oh man, this is gonna be brought up. And I was thinking, you know what? If we hadn't had our injuries, I think Teddy's right, or at least we're competing for one.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that's so scandalous to say, but whatever. I think Teddy Lehman can hold his own. So.
Yeah. I mean,
he wouldn't say it to his face though.
No, it's just shocking to me. I don't know, but they also need a lot of segments to cover, so it is what it is. I mean, I'm not really. Anyone that's kind of making hay of that, I think, is just doing it for reasons that maybe they no. Well, I won't keep ranting on that. All right, doom or pill. If I'm going to be totally negative about the year,
wait, this year? Or
this
next
year. This year.
Okay.
We'll just say BV's tenure at OU and ignore context. But 22-17 overall as their head coach, 12-14 in conference play. That includes Big 12 and SEC. 0-3 in bowl games. 2-12 versus top 30 teams. 9-16. Versus top 45 teams, 5-9 in one-score games, 5 losses of 20+. Now, I just want to remind everybody that this has been 3 years. We already have a 10-win season under them. Let's go back to we see how good Texas is right now, right? Everyone talks about their program and how great they are. In the last 14 years, I'll say excluding this year, leading up to last year, let's make sure I'm on the right. Up to 2022, sorry. They were 91-72. If you ever thought a team like Texas would be that bad, or a program like Texas, and they've recovered like they have. Now, they have different tools in their toolbox for sure. They have different tools that they can go to, or different people that they can get to in terms of making these improvements quickly. But if I understand people that say, look, Brent Venables has had 3 years. He's brought this program to where it is. There is no reason why we should keep giving him a chance. There is all this talk about him and Joe C being gone. I don't think there was a rumor of a meeting last night about Joe C. There was no, from what I know, there was no meeting in terms of him being like any sort of vote about him being gone. As a matter of fact, I think they all expressed confidence in him. So he's not going to go.
Brent Venables or Joe C?
Joe C.
Okay.
And also, don't forget, Arbuckle, I assume, is promised current structure of at least 2 years. So I don't even think, unless BV has a horrible year next year, I think if he gets to 6 or 7 wins at minimum, there's probably going to be people that said that will say, he gets one more year, because Arbuckle, I believe, at least what I've heard, was promised he can make changes as he wants, and he's going to have current structure, so that he knows he at least has what is around him when he gets here for a couple years. I just don't like on the sunshine pumping thing.
That's the thing. Your total doomer was still not total doomer.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you're right. I just don't.
We just don't have it in us.
I know. Well, I also don't have what we don't have in it is just ignoring facts. Like I hear people on the radio and that have these podcasts that cover Oklahoma, and I love them. But you get on there and it's just we got to blow up. I've never seen Oklahoma like this, guys. You can hire Nick Saban, you can hire everybody else, and if they go out there and you have 9 of your best players that can't play next year, you ain't going to be that good. In the SEC, you can't hide players in a conference like the SEC where you have NFL guys on every single defense, multiple. In the Big 12, you would play a defense that might have 4, and that's usually when we played Texas. But you wouldn't play consistently every single week defenses that had multiple NFL guys. You do every week. Well, at least OU. Texas doesn't. That's another story. We play multiple teams with NFL guys every week, so it doesn't matter who you have out there. If you don't have your best talent able to play, then it's all moot at that point. Now you can say that is Brent Venables' problem, that his best talent wasn't able to play. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe Brent Venables, by his nature, makes people unable to play for. I don't know. I don't think he has that sort of superpower, but if he does, then that's just too bad for him, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. And also the 0-3 in bowl games. I couldn't care less about bowl games. Now they can be meaningful if you are, say, a healthy player that just signed a big NIL deal, and you somehow don't make a way to play on the game and leave your teammates out to dry. I don't have to say anything about that. You wear Louis Vuitton shoes and a Gucci belt while your teammates are out there fighting their butts off. But I don't know. I mean, maybe to me that would be a sign that maybe you aren't, not the best reflection of the kind of player I think I want on my team. But I'll just leave it at that. On the other hand, you play last year's bowl game against Arizona after you win 10 games. You don't have Dylan Gabriel. You don't have Tyler Guyton. You don't have a lot of guys that are one's a Hall of Fame or Heisman finalist. The other was a first-round draft pick. They didn't play.
Wait, was it Arizona or Florida State that had 0 opt-outs because they wanted to?
I think neither one of them had opt-outs. I know Arizona did.
They were all wanting, 10-1 season, something like that?
Yeah. Arizona didn't have a single opt-out. We had multiple.
We continue to play with our JV teams in these bowl games against the non-JV teams of other.
And I understand people get mad about bowl games, but it actually is fair. I mean, the SEC used to use that same excuse when we were in the Big 12. Like they did, the year we beat Florida, and they had Kyle Pitts sitting out and all those guys sitting out. It's a reason why we were, I think, better than them that year, but still, you don't know. I mean, they don't have all their weapons, so it's hard to say.
Right. And the thing is, I think a lot of people that are saying they don't matter are people who grew up in the era where bowls did matter, and they did have more meaning. Unfortunately now with the college football playoff and those bowls, they don't. Yeah. And I think it shows, like you mentioned, it's a reflection of who doesn't play in them.
Yeah.
Or who plays in them for a half just to get their own records and then leave their team out to dry. Looking at you, Cam Ward, because you let my dog down. Pick Miami, thing, yeah. But regardless.
The Cam Ward stuff's interesting. We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah, sorry.
You're good. I'm glad you said
that. And the thing is, I want them to mean something again. I think we all do. I think we all want to watch bowl season the way that we used to get excited for it. But unfortunately, it's just the nature that we're in right now with college football is they just don't matter as much if you're not in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Unless your team specifically is like Arizona or Florida State, whomever it was that were searching for that first 10 win season or whatever it was that they were searching for. So they didn't have any opt outs.
Mm-hmm.
So unless they have like an intrinsic value to a specific team, but for the most part, they don't mean what they used to. And, it stinks, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, it is what it is. And it's, I don't know when all the opt outs started. I know that McCaffrey opted out that 1 year, and that was kind of seen as a big deal. But anymore, if you're not you're 100% right. You're not in the college football playoff. I don't get, unless you just want to make records for yourself, like you were saying about Cam Ward. But I don't know. That Cam Ward deal is going to be interesting because of the gambling aspect of it. People bet a lot of money on games, and if say that's a part of a parlay, and you would have won like tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, not knowing that Cam Ward wasn't going to play the whole game would have been vital information to have. So I'm wondering how that's all going to work out. But beyond that,
don't mess with gambling.
I mean, seriously. I mean, that'll be
don't mess with Vegas.
That'll be a problem. So let's move on to the portal. I think that's fair.
Okay.
I was gonna say my sunshine pumping, but I did that basically the whole time.
But the thing is, you're not even sunshine pumping saying, "Oh, as well, we're gonna go 12-0 and we're gonna win the Natty." Like we're very level headed, or we try to be. Like, we're human, so you have ebbs and flows of emotions and level headedness, but we just try to look at it from just a realistic perspective. Like, of course, I want to always think every year, oh, he's going to go 12-0, but also we're playing one of the hardest schedules in the nation, and we're going to be playing that same schedule next year, which I think is actually a benefit because
even harder because you got Michigan, who's probably going to regress to me and be good next year.
Yeah, probably. But I darn it, I lose my train of thought. But I'm saying those teams should be losing some players, you would think. Mm-hmm. And then we have experience with playing them for the most part, or how they tend to run. We almost had most of them. I hate saying it like that. We almost had a lot of them last year with a totally depleted team. So you're hoping that we can build back that talent. Now I will say here's a doomer. I am a little bit nervous of how we are going to be building back that talent, or who we have at wide receiver, how they really are going to be for our team and in this conference. Now I did see some good things in the bowl out of, is it Ivan or Yvonne?
I think it's Ivan Carry On.
Ivan?
Yeah.
See, the Hispanic me wants to say Yvonne.
I think we might be right.
But saw some good things out of him. Although Kearney dropped some, I liked some of the moments I saw from him with like this route running and getting open. And he did make a touchdown, so that was cool. But there's just a lot to, we're all just waiting. Well, it'll be an interesting spring too, because the spring portal will open as well, right?
Yeah. So the portal dates are. Was that comment still up? Yeah. So the portal dates are. I've looked this up. So if you're a grad transfer, they can enter at any time. There's no set window for a graduate transfer, so that they can come in whenever. The official window closed the 28th. If you play in a bowl game, but if you play in a bowl game, you get 5 additional days after your bowl game. So Oklahoma's window for players to enter will close for Wednesday.
Which is why we saw somebody enter.
Yeah. Now the university has a few days. They have I think up to 5 days to process paper information, so you can enter and not really get notified until Saturday. So after Saturday, you're not going to have any more Oklahoma players enter. That doesn't mean that grad transfers can't enter that are at OU, or that other teams' grad transfers or guys that play in bowl games and enter after theirs are gonna can't choose to come to OU. But OU players will be that window will be shut until the second window opens, I think in May or late spring. So there are interesting ways that you can go about. I think that the spring portal is going to be interesting because you get a lot of defensive talent. I think after you see where the defensive line is, where we got Dominic Williams last year. And I think that they're going to be able to look at a couple guys. I'm hoping they get the Mo Westmoreland to come in for a visit. That got to leave that. Oh God, I shouldn't even say this. I'm not sure, but he's a FCS guy, but he's an NFL talent. He's got scouts at his practices. He's a big defensive end, which would be a huge addition for us. Would add, a ton of depth, and he would be a big time pickup. So you can go get him. I'd love it. I'd love to get the portal, the offensive tackle from Washington State. He's going to be a guy that is, whoever he ends up, and I think Nebraska's looking at him. El Paso, yeah, my bad. Nebraska's looking at him, and he's also wanting over $1 million in the portal, which if you're that highly touted as a tackle, they go for a premium because they're a very important position. But there is there is a lot of just pieces I think are going to fall. What is this? I don't understand why we don't go after a great kicker, because how many games we lost because of missed field goals? I think great kind of is a loaded question. You can go after kickers that show that they have ability, but, kicking's hard. I don't know. I would hate being a kicker. Mike Vanderjagt said it best. He made, hundreds of field goals in a row, or hundreds of extra points in a row, and, almost 100 field goals or something. And he misses one, and it's just how bad he sucks.
Yeah.
It's
also
I would hate that position.
And so many times on kickers, and it's not even your fault. The holder was holding it wrong. The holder didn't get it down right, or, wind, rain, snow. There's so many other elements that go into kicking. And I know I've said it to you. If we ever had a son and you want to be a kicker, I don't know if I could handle that. That would be so hard. Just because you can. I think Zach Smith or whoever our kicker has made a majority of.
Yeah, he made a 58-yarder or something like that.
Yeah, but I think he actually missed so few this year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the year prior, he missed a few more and lost his job, but he ended up winning it back, and he did well for the most part. And also, I'm hard pressed to sometimes ever blame a game on the kicker, because there's so many other things that could have happened before that you could have maybe taken advantage of to not put your kicker in a spot to be, the winner or the loser. But, team effort, I guess. I think we would have won more games if we could have just got into the end zone a few more times.
No, I'm all for getting another one.
For sure. Yeah.
Did y'all not watch Ohio State and others carve up Venables' defense? That stuff looked good versus Georgia Tech and Boston College. It is another. Whenever we play Georgia Tech or Boston College.
There's another one. Clemson played Alabama.
Gabriel Bailey.
Clemson won 2 natties.
I know. I don't know what this is trying to say. When he played LSU, LSU carved everyone up that year. Alabama, we just held them to 3 points. Buckeyes, we haven't played them since Baker was here.
Maybe he means Clemson.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's on the Clemson days, which, cool. If you want to go back then. Also, Clemson's defenses were notorious. Were noted as the best top in the country. So
right.
I don't know.
Playing some of the best.
And you look at the number of defensive draft picks in the NFL they had. I don't know. It's not really worth going too deep on, I guess. But so portal additions continued. Is that where we're at right now? Portal additions are.
I don't know. I always have a plan. We don't talk about this enough. I always have a plan of where I think things are going to go, and I make pretty good notes. And then it normally doesn't go that way.
What do you have notes for next? We need to.
I had transfer portal notes, but
go through it. What do you got?
No.
Transfer
portal. No, I'm nervous about it.
Brought to you by T.
No.
I'll read it. What do you got?
We just got that Western Carolina quarterback.
Cole Gonzalez, going to add depth to the quarterback room. You know that they're never going to go back to just having 2 quarterbacks after the 2022 season. Davis Bevel, God bless you. I hope you have a great life. Same with General Booty. Yeah, but what's funny is that was working, and they just still went away from it.
It was.
I don't care if I got to line up and just run backwards or do leapfrog all the way down the field. I'm scoring tuds, or I'm moving the ball. I don't get the ego. If you have something that works, first off, hilarious that defense couldn't stop it. That seems to me it's more embarrassing that your defense can't stop a simple, yeah. See, they want your notes. Give the people what they want. Carson Kent from Kennesaw State, a 6'4" tight end, again adding depth and ability to the room. All conference honors. Seems like an athletic guy again. He was about the size of, I think, Bauer Sharp. So, by the way, apparently he's good enough to play at LSU. So, that is an interesting note. Again, Cole Gonzalez, 51 touchdowns through 3 seasons. 2023 Southern SoCon Player of the Year, 2-time first-team All-SoCon. And 2 years of eligibility remaining. It's important to have good quarterbacks. You don't want to be in a situation where you are just, you have nobody back there that you trust to move the ball. Because it is, killer and detrimental to your team. So, you have any more?
I don't remember if we talked about any of these from the last show.
We talked about the defensive line, the offensive lineman. We talked about Gibson. Yeah, Giovanni Gibson, probably the highest ceiling receiver we have coming in, a 6'3" guy from Arkansas Pine Bluff, I believe. There's a lot. They have some guys that are coming in that I'm pretty excited about, but it's also a guy that. I just saw Pat McAfee. What? Case in point, this is not OU related, but Pat McAfee brought kicking challenge to
college game day. That is golden.
Yeah.
Dude, did y'all see that guy that tore his ACL warming up for it? I don't remember which game it was before, but he like went down into like, I don't know. I felt they had to find a backup. Poor guy, man.
Mm-hmm. I think they just trust who they have in the tight end room right now. I think that they're banking on what is out there. They think that they have equivalent in the already in the room, and that when developed, it'll be ready to go and healthy. So I'm not sure about it. The Joe John stuff is interesting. I know a lot of fans want him. I think that I don't know if he's going to stay or not. I do know Ben Arbuckle can hire who he wants and have on his staff who he wants. I know that there are, I think, a consideration a lot of OU fans need to also make is, Ben Arbuckle, it's not like he has a deep coaching tree. He's only been a coach for 4 years. Also, he's going to a conference that is the premier conference in college football. Do you want, if you're him, a couple coaches that have been through an SEC schedule already, that understand what that takes and kind of who you're going to be facing? That has gone against a lot of these defensive fronts that you're going to see a lot of the players back, like Dylan Stewart, South Carolina, or another guy from Tennessee or Texas, wherever that is, Simmons, and be able to kind of help you as you're developing your game plan. So I think there is a little bit of that going on. If he wants to keep Joe John and he thinks that is who he needs, good. It's great. I mean, I hope that they figure that out. Same with DeMarco Murray. I think if DeMarco leaves, it'll be for the NFL. It won't be for another college position. I really think a lot of coaches are just worn out with the NIL stuff. And I think that it's just recruiting's already hard enough.
Everybody, besides the athletes themselves,
recruiting's
worn out by it.
Yeah, recruiting's hard enough, and now you're recruiting your own players every year. I mean, it just makes it that much more difficult and that much more of a strain.
Which I was telling someone that she was like, "Oh, I'm so thankful that some of our players are showing like loyalty to OU, essentially, like, or they're putting in the locks, whatever." I was like, "Yeah, don't get it all twisted. Some of these players were like, give us our money or give us our raises, or we're leaving." So, and it's like I hate it because we've mentioned with NIL, like, we want to love these players and we want to, really support them. We want to buy their jerseys and buy their shirts. We want to, really root them on. And it's so hard knowing that they could literally be gone next year.
Mm-hmm.
And not for like the NFL, but like literally just leave because they didn't have the same love for OU that you do, And so that's just kind of disheartening. And that's where like, I bought a 28 jersey this year. Doesn't say Stutzman on the back because I kind of left it open. No offense, Danny, but for Adrian Peterson as well. But like, I finally was like, you know what? I'm buying one because he stayed with us. And, there's several players. It's like almost like now you have to wait until they are seniors or, already graduated for you even want to buy a jersey. And, that's tough. I can't imagine people that have children that, want their favorite player's jersey, because you could be buying like 4 different jerseys every year and those things are not cheap, but I digress.
Yeah, and someone had just mentioned on Twitter that they hope that they had to secure the defense. Hopefully, that's what we were spending the money on. It is. I mean, they had to keep the defensive players that they wanted for sure. I know we saw Lewis Carter go to the portal. That one hurts just because of how much he was on special teams and how much he was just talented. I mean, the guy was a freak. And again, if you enter, it doesn't mean that you can't return or withdraw your name. You might just be seeing what you have out there, but. I think the defense is going to be really good. I think if you have an average offense, you can win, go 8-4, 9-3. Their schedule is so difficult. It's hard to see a 10-win regular season. Right. But you make the playoff at 9-3, and you'll be right there.
Right, because on top of like obviously being just difficult teams you're playing, you're going to play in difficult places. Like on top of it, and even teams that maybe aren't historically good, where they play is still insane.
Right.
And I'm not going to say it because it's going to sound like a dig to a school, and that's not what I mean. But I just meant like historically not a lot of natties.
We talking about Oklahoma State? Texas even?
Wow. No, South Carolina.
Yeah.
I was just
not an easy place.
But like where they play, insane. Sandstorm goes crazy. Like it's just not going to be, it's not going to be easy. Nope. Unlike some people, which maybe, again, every year changes, but.
This was, like, I think, do we think he hires for? I was already told, or no, I wasn't told. I've heard, and I'd probably everyone that I think that a Hall was offered and he turned it down. I don't know that you really.
I don't think you need it.
If he does, he does. I think what I would love him to do is just focus 100% on the defense and let the offensive guys run the offense. I don't think you need to have the head coach yet. Let him make all the clock management decisions. No matter what you do with clock management, everyone knows that you should have done the other thing. So the only thing I can tell you is that timeouts are more valuable than saving 5 yards on a punt. So if we ever do that, whoever calls the timeout should be immediately relieved of duty. and they should put my dad in that position, whatever it is. My dad's probably laughing at that.
Since Paul Smith.
It is
former
not. I mean, there's
coach.
no reason. There's rarely.
Resume in tomorrow.
Yeah, there's rarely a reason to say 5 yards on a punt and call a timeout. It's just that
Also,
kind of
more
stuff
times
is
than not,
inexcusable.
unless you're like obviously in your end zone already punting.
Yeah,
But, more times than not, it can kind of help you.
right. I just maybe a field goal if you're right on the edge, but then again, think about it. If you're on the edge on your field goal distance, it's already a less percentage make. You have a less percentage chance of making it if you're stretching. Your kicker's almost at his max.
Right.
So you save 5 yards by calling a timeout. You're saving a 10% chance or 20% chance of made field goal. Like I don't think it's worth it with how valuable they are at the end of games. Mm-hmm. So I hate the use of timeouts by a lot of people.
Or end of halves.
Yeah, or end of halves, exactly.
And I can confirm he does hate it because we'll be watching just like random teams and he'll just be like, and they'll call a timeout and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Are you dumb?" It's just funny because it really is like his it's like a what is that, pet peeve?
Yeah,
pet peeve. It's just like it pokes him and it bothers him.
It's unbelievable. At school, these guys, and I don't even know if we should interact with it, but this is so what. School these guys in the stadium they built. What in what world did he school them in? His defense wasn't the reason we lost that game. They forced 2 turnovers. They got short fields because Jackson Arnold kept playing hot potato with the football. And we just fumbled everywhere.
It's hard for me to even read this. Not because I
understand being critical. I understand being critical whenever there are reasons to be, and I could go through and give critiques of Brent Venables. You could too.
I admittedly was reading some of the comics over the side when you've been talking, and one, I'm trying to decode them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is being said there? And then also I'm like, what?
Yeah, Les, I heard that he did. Yeah, I heard he did, yeah.
But I don't know. Also, everybody knows that the Clemson defenses were that's what they were known. I don't know why that's so groundbreaking to say or something to troll. Like it's a fact. Like you ask people who some of the best defenses were, and it was
we were one of the best in the country this year. I think if you didn't put our defense in the positions our offense did, we're the best defense in the SEC. And I don't think I've said.
But
that
also, just because you're a good defense doesn't mean if you play
Texas,
one of the best offenses, such as a Joe Burrow offense, like
he diced up everyone that year.
Right.
It wasn't.
Which
dropped
shout out to Joey B.
Yeah, I mean,
them like they're good teams. They're gonna play good teams, and one team's gonna win.
Yeah. Unabashedly, I want to be this 1982 Boomer Sooner. I would love to be on the sidelines like Toby Keith and JR used to be. JR, by the way, famous.
Why can't I read right now? Stop.
Chad, stop it. You just want to be like TK and JR and to be on. Used to always be on the sideline. Something like that.
Okay.
Absolutely, I would love to. And if you know anyone that can give us them.
See, I saw TK and that I read myself.
Yeah,
my initial. My name's not Tierani.
Tierani Kristen?
Yes, thank you.
Tierani Karsten.
But I saw my initials and that's where I got thrown off. I was like, wait, I've never been on the sideline. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. I would love to be. And if JR, famous WWE,
it's like
WWF
part of us says that though,
announcer.
but we really love our section and the people around us.
Yeah, I would be on the sideline in a heartbeat.
True,
you know what I do? I tell them, hey, how are you? I give them the
how are you?
I give them the King's. I give them the King's wave. And I would say, hey, see y'all, I got Russell Westbrook and all these guys that, well, I guess not them, Shea Gilgeous and all them trying to.
Hey, Russ has been there. You never know. He could come back.
I would love him to be there. JR, you interrupted me. I'm trying to give you a history of who he is and why he's so important. Famous WWE, WWF announcer, along with Jerry the King Lawler. First year I made straight A's, elementary. First off, is it real? The injuries are real. Have you not seen the disclaimer? Well, these are professional athletes among the most talented among us.
But do you think it's scripted?
I could be convinced it's scripted. I'm not saying it's crazy to think that.
Okay.
I think a high probability.
Continue with your straight A's because we could talk about that for the next 4 hours.
Fifth grade, my parents said, Chad, if you get straight A's, we'll buy you a wrestling pay-per-view. I hate this. My mom's probably screaming that I brought that up. It was Brock Lesnar versus, I believe, The Rock. I mean, it was one of the highlights of my year. Made a whole sign, everything. JR was an announcer. It was great to see. Anyways, there are multiple reasons why I think we can. Do I think we'll be harder scheduled? Listen, I think you can turn it around. I don't think. Again, this is where people will say I don't know if people say I am, but I'm assuming if you say anything that's not negative about the university right now, people just assume you're sunshine bumming, which is part of the grieving process. I guess they're in just the anger part. I get that. I think it's just I don't think stating facts is sunshine pumping unless
No.
like you're. Well, I was gonna make a political joke.
And
I won't get into that, but-
never and it seems like those same people will be like, oh, those are just excuses. It's like, and you're like, okay, well, good talk.
Yeah,
like-
I mean, it's just
Okay. Be
Uh,
mad, I guess. Okay, next year with the harder schedule. Is it a harder, really? I mean, I guess with
yeah.
Michigan, but to me, it's like more the same. With the exception of, yes, we play Michigan.
You're on the road at Tennessee, on the road at Alabama.
True.
You do get Auburn at home.
We also
you get
went to
Missouri
Death
at
Valley
home.
this year.
Yeah. I just think the team.
It's going to be hard, period.
I think just having Michigan now makes it harder by just definition
Right.
because they're going to be
So I
not
made
sucking
the
again.
inaccurate yet accurate comparison last week, and that we're a bunch of, and I got the name wrong originally. I got it right now. Veruca Schultz now. It's just, I want it now. And that's like this instant gratification period. And if we don't have it, we don't have it right now. We just want to blow it all up. It's probably why the reason marriages fail half the time here in the United States, but I digress. We just, it's just all about what we want now, what feels good right now.
Mhm.
And now we're not going to sit here and say like, wow, this all was well this year. It was great. It's just, no, it stunk. We were upset too. But at the end of the day, we are realist about it. Be like, well, what did we expect to have basically all of our experience producing receivers out? To have, gosh knows how many iterations of offensive line we had with two quarterbacks who's their first year playing and, running this system. So there's only so much that like could have happened with that dice that was rolled. And I will point it out today that, well, I will point it out to 2025. Everybody expected us to go 6-6 with our guys. We did that with our JV team, essentially, on offense. Not on defense, on offense. So, yeah, I mean, call it sunshine pumping, whatever. Pumping. Ew. Call it sunshine pumping, whatever. But it's just, I just can't get behind blow it all up, because then I think you really are looking at another 3, 4, 5 years of the same. You're just going to be looking at more disappointment, where I think right now we would have been on the right track without injuries. I still think we are on the right track, but it's been a tough few years.
I just don't think that there's any person that says they know BV is this or they know the team is this. They're just lying, because no one knows what the normal. For you to make that assertion, you have to have some frame of reference. And the only frame of reference you could have is if another team went through what we did, having 8 of your best players on the sidelines the entire year, and then to say this is how that year should have gone. And it'll forever be my biggest pet peeve that has continued to be ignored. Granted, it's not. I don't mind other teams missing it, because no other fan follows your team like you do. I mind when Oklahoma fans just don't state it out of just they want to make a point about the either Joe C or Brent Venables or whatever, and they just want to leave out all context. If I sit there and told you to type me like a paper quickly, and I said I taped down 8 of your fingers, and I'll let you use your 2 index fingers, and I'm sitting there complaining about why you're so slow at typing, you'd probably say I'm not slow. You just took away almost all my tools and ability to do the job you asked me. If I am a coach and I need talented players to win a game, and I almost don't have any of them because they're all on the sideline, it's such a common sense thing. It's hard to just explain why it's so obvious what needs to change. You're almost going to be better by definition because you're going to have all of your best players available for the most part. You're going to be missing 3 linemen to start the year. You're going to be missing 5 wide receivers to start the year. A wide receiver core that had 4 of their top 5 receivers returning from the year before, besides Drake Stoops, that had brought in Deion Burks, that was a top 10 returning core, according to Pro Football Focus. And it was one of the most talented rooms in the country. It was the one thing that we had said, if we can hang our hat on one area of our team, it was the wide receiver room. That was the only area we didn't have a question mark. And now that whole room is decimated to the point where it's the biggest question mark of any position group that had multiple question marks at position groups. And everyone's just like, well, I don't really know what happened. Brent Venables just doesn't have the team where he needs to have it. I'm not saying that he has it in a great spot. I'm saying don't ignore the fact that we didn't have literally half of our offense the entire season. Mm-hmm. You saw Texas fans complain whenever Connors got a bullcrap call. That was not blocking the back. That was a good hit that he just got wrecked on. Blindside. That was a stupid call. It was ridiculous. Texas fans were going crazy. Like, we're losing our center. If we lose, they lost. Now imagine losing your center, 2 starting tackles, and then all 5 of your best wide receivers. then you can start complaining to me. Now, they're going to beat Arizona State by that won't be a close game. It'll be close for maybe a quarter and a half, and then they'll blow them out because Arizona State's not going to be able to run against them. But I'm telling you, if you guys think that you guys are, going to, or that we are just going to not be better by just having our best players, I don't know. I mean, common sense is just common. Maybe it isn't common. I don't know. But that's just, it's so obvious what's going to happen this year. I just don't know why.
Someone you are very close to was even saying, like, oh man, I was just so worried that he wasn't going to come back in the game, or we're going to lose this. And you went, yeah, now imagine for a moment. And he was like, oh, yeah.
No,
but he's a very realistic Texas fan. But I don't know. It just, I say I'm looking forward to football for 2025, but like, I'm not in the sense that like, I think the whole fan base needs a break, or many of the Doomers need the off season. I'm going to sit and enjoy watching the men and women's basketball, watching the gymnasts start their season soon, softball in about a month and a half start. So,
Cam
looking
Ward
forward to it.
Picked Iowa State apart with his 5 receivers out. So again, I don't know. This is where it's almost just exhausting. I'm not saying that is the sole reason why we were bad. I don't think that anyone could say I'm starting to disagree that we are bad because our receivers were out. Cam Ward also had literal enough time to stand still in the pocket because they rushed 3 people at Iowa State. He was literally not moving his feet on several throws, at least on one that I saw.
He's also playing Iowa State.
Jackson Arnold had more pressures and sacks through 5 games than any quarterback in college football. It's such a apple. Again, it's not apples to apples. It's apples to a Michelin tire. The comparison. It's not even it's not even comparable. And I'm not going to say whatever. We're moving on.
Iowa
I'm
State's
tired of having an argument
defense
almost,
to SEC defense.
Yeah,
okay, moving on.
That's where it's just and maybe all those guys were just not good, and that's it. But there were just there's a lot that goes on with yeah, I agree with you, Tyler. Maverick.
They were on the field a lot, and they were on the field a lot in impossible positions. They were defending short fields and being expected to hold teams to not score even a field goal. And that's why a lot of people, I know someone was like, another fan base was like, well, OU's defense actually wasn't that good this year. It's like, you just tell us you looked at the box scores without telling us, which is fine. Yeah. Like, you can't watch every college football game ever. And, if you don't follow OU, if you're not going to play OU in the future, you're probably not going to watch. But, like, that's where that deception came in. Like, with South Carolina, their defense gave up 21 points in a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
No, they gave up, I guess, 7, which on a short field. The ball was given to them on like the 30-yard line, maybe the 40, and then they ran in to score. Like, it's just kind of wild, but
I just there's multiple things that just.
But thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks, Tyler.
We hope you lose, but we don't think you will.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into that. I don't mind the hate, and I can there's a lot of things that I'm trying to adjust my stool, by the way, if this looks weird. It just feels weird. There are a lot of things that I could critique Venables on. One is communication. I don't know why. Don't tell people everyone's coming back. You don't need to talk yourself into unneeded corners. Like in golf, for example, if you have a birdie putt, like, why are you going to say, no, I'm making this. I'm not missing it. You can bet on that. Just putt it. If you make it, great. If you miss it, okay, you miss putts. But now whenever you paint yourself in a corner where it just puts more pressure on you. It's like when he sits there and he says, oh, I expect every receiver to be back next year. Now they're all gone. Except for Deion Burks. I expect, I guess Shane Gibson too, but, of the ones that had a chance to play this year. I expect the coaching staff to have no changes. Now Zach Alley's gone. Now they'll probably DeMarco might go to the NFL. Joe John Finley, all that stuff. But I just don't get why there's this belief or why there's a belief that, I understand he wants to be upfront and open with how he communicates to the media and to OU fans, but you can do it to a point where it's almost just too much and too far.
But in a way, I believe with the wide receivers, he said they had all indicated to him.
Yeah.
So you only take people at their word. That's what you can. Yeah. And so if they indicated to you that they wanted to return and they didn't, then, or I guess, or if we cut some guys because of the new rules or whatever, or they asked for outrageous things and you said, are you kidding me? And you set them free that way. But regardless, there's only and people get tired of him saying the same things over and over in press too. What is he gonna say? Like,
yeah.
Truly, there's nothing at this point that he could say that would like pacify the doomers and the blow everything uppers. There's nothing that he could say really that, like, I guess sunshine bumper. I don't know. It's just he just needs to focus on recruiting and getting in his guys, whether that's coaching or playing, and just go from there. And obviously, needs to be home. It's the off season. Spend time with your wife and children. It's just. I know coaching never stops, but
by the way, prayers for his wife. I know he's in New York City right now with his wife dealing with cancer. That's kind of come back in a strong way. So pray for her. And obviously there are bigger things in football in this world. At the end of the day, it is a sport that's for fun. It makes a lot of money. It affects me physically when we're not good. I do not have fun in life, but there are still much more important things, and one of those is family. And so pray for BV's wife. Her name escapes me, and I hate that it has. Do you remember off the top of your head? Julie, yes. Pray for Julie and for BV's strength and all that. So, there is issues. So he's dealing with other things besides sports. So that's just a side note.
And in general, there is so much more to sports. Chad says, he doesn't have a good time, so he doesn't win. But I feel like for the most part, especially in the years of NIL, we both kind of lost that.
Well, it's just transactional.
Pure anger. We still obviously want OU to succeed, and we're going to basically lose our voices every game, and he's going to tell me to stop screaming in their people in front of us' ears during games. But at the end of the day, like, there is truly so much more. I mentioned the last pod too, like last year I was really upset after a loss, or maybe 2 years ago, I don't remember. And Zeno just so sweet and innocently, like, I was sitting in my closet because I sat down to put on some shoes and just like didn't want to get up, and I was just upset, which was pathetic, I know. And my dog just, he comes in, checks on me, he runs back out, he runs back in and brings me his ball, and he's like, play with me. And in that moment, I'm like, why am I being this way? Am I a child? Like, this is a child's game that these kids are playing. Like, kids are playing. They're adults now that make a lot of money. But, like, this is, at the end of the day, it's a game that I personally have little control over, with the exception of donating to the NIL fund. But I have no control over the actual game, and my dog was just happy to see me and wanted to play with me, and I was like, man, like, there's so much more. So I tried to reel in my emotions as well. But granted, I'm only human, and I'm very competitive at the end of the day. So
yeah,
still going to be affected, but I feel like I'm just getting better overall with maturity.
I'm going to add this to the bottom. Make sure to like the video if you can. Just like it real quick. We need it.
Subscribe to our channel if you have not.
Yeah. And, those really help us. So if you can, just do that real quick.
We will be here every Monday. But
what was the other aspect we wanted to discuss? We got to make a list from now on.
We've made some lists, and then we don't stick to them.
I know. I'm trying to think of what we want to discuss that we didn't get to on the Navy game. I guess, about the Navy game, bowl games matter to an extent, especially if, who is and isn't playing in them, I guess. But they're going to have to do something with bowls to make them more appealing to have players, be in the bowl game.
Is it going to be like NFL, get bonuses?
Yeah, there is I don't know what you can do though, because unless what I think they're eventually going to do, unless if the SEC and Big Ten and maybe the ACC or Big 12 make their own conference, they're going to expand the playoff to just like and try to make as many bowl games as they can playoff games, because other than that, you've relegated bowl games to meaning enough to just break a record and then sit out, regardless of if your team's in a game or not. And at one hand, I think that's a ridiculous thing to do, but on the other hand, if it's about money, which is all that the game's about now, it's not about love of a fan base or loyalty to a program. It's about the transaction between business, you paying me and I can play for you for a year. That's what it's about for most 95% of players, or maybe 90% of players. I just don't know if if that's what it's going to be about. Fine, cool. It'll be like the NFL, and you'll move on from there. But other than that, the only value you can give additionally to a bowl game, besides just great mascots like the Pop-Tarts Bowl, is just to make it a meaningful game. Again. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to be. I know a lot of fans were mad that we lost to Navy, but it's shocking to me that people. I said it. I was almost going to go find this clip the other day. I said when we got picked to give them. I said this when we got picked to play Navy. I was like, Navy or Army would be one of the worst teams for us to be picked to play, because we're going to have all these opt-outs and they're going to have none, zero. and we're going to have to play with our true freshmen everywhere, and we're going to get beat, and everyone's going to say Oklahoma lost because they don't know context or how to add it. And yeah, we lost to Navy. Our JV team did. Cool. I'm not. People is like, that's an excuse. No, it's a cliche to just say everything's an excuse. Sometimes there are reasons in life why things happen, and
Right.
I'm not going to sit here and just ignore that reason just to bash a coach that I may not like some other fans. I just won't do that. I believe in being consistently. I believe in being consistent and fair, not just saying things that are convenient to me at the time. So.
Or just saying things out of pure emotion.
Yeah, that's another thing that bothered me. Stop tweeting right after something happens, guys. It's almost. I was going to bring this up too, and I think I'm just going to do. There are people that are day traders, right? That say like, "Oh, I'm buy my day trading course." Don't do that. Most people that work in finance that are investing in stocks don't even have stock apps on their phone because they don't care about the day to day. They care about month over month, or they care about year over year because stocks are typically a long term investment. On the average, a day trader makes a 2.9%. Maybe compared to like a 2.9% compared to almost 8% for someone that does it professionally. And it's because like you'll see these guys talk about, oh, I have all this information. You can get to a point where you have too much that for your own good because you can't guess things or predict what's going to happen the very next day based off of just one day's information. And that's almost where I feel like a lot of fans are with portal stuff or with all the news we get and information we get from the team now, where that is spread like wildfire through just innuendo. It's almost just too much. It almost makes it worse than what it would be even if it was true because we start reacting to it. Everyone sees that everyone's freaking out over something. So it's like there's something has to be wrong. It's just like almost talking about it makes it worse. It's like when that lady was on talking about the worst thing you can do for depression is just sit there and sulk over the fact you have depression. It's like that makes you more depressed, literally. And it's like we have some little, there's a rumor that, I don't know, this, that, or the other is going to happen. And by the way, a rumor that might have just been made up by someone sitting on, and sitting on the living room couch that doesn't even know anything about anything that's going on, and then it just spreads. And now it's Oklahoma's in shambles. I've never seen the program like this.
Or
Like,
someone's like,
maybe
you know
nothing's
what?
going on.
I bet this, or I wonder if this, and then someone takes it as gospel, and it's just it blows my mind. And like, my thing is like the tweeting when you're emotional thing. Like, get off Twitter. We're adults. Turn your phone off. Like, because then, like, and then it just blows my mind. And granted, I have said things when emotional, too. Like, I am not...
Can confirm.
I'm not...
Twitter? No,
yeah.
That was a joke.
I'm not, like, obviously perfect with that. And as nobody is, but it's like... Yeah. We had people in our own fan base saying that our own players should transfer. What?
Yeah. Like,
why would you ever do that? Why would you say, well, if I was... I don't know. If I was Kip Lewis, I would leave. If I was... Caden Helms, I would leave. If I was Xavier Robinson, I would leave. Why would you ever say that? Like, because then if it happened, those same people would be calling him, all the names. But it just blows my mind that as adults, the way that some things are said or worded, it just, I had to move X off of I had to move it deep into like a folder on my phone because I was like, I just can't with some of these people. And I just couldn't with, again, like the too much information thing, like the Zach Alley stuff, the Lewis Carter stuff, any other type of transfer portal news. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to enjoy my holidays. I'm trying to enjoy being with my family. I'm just trying to have peace. I'm sitting here not just be angry. And I'm getting angry when I'm seeing fans tweet the most ridiculous of things. Mm-hmm. But neither here nor there. If that's your cup of tea, if that's your outlet, then I guess fine. I guess it's cheaper than therapy, but my Lanta.
There are, I didn't, I don't know why, like where this belief of, you'll hear these people that again are beat writers for the team or that report on the team professionally, and they're saying, well, there just has to be something. It goes back to like, you'll see people online that just have these crazy beliefs, and it's, well, I'm just asking questions. Maybe BV is a secret plant that is from Texas. Maybe Texas hired BV for us, and they want BV to. I'm just asking questions, though. I don't know. I mean, let's play this game for a sec. Have you ever seen OU this bad? He's had 6 coordinators, 3 years. I mean, that seems a little ridiculous, right? I mean, you would think he would just luck into just keeping one of them offensively. I'm just asking questions, though. Maybe it's Texas.
At the end of the day, everything's for clicks.
That is. And yeah, clip this, by the way, because I want to see how far this spreads. Maybe Texas hired Brent Venables to destroy Oklahoma's program, But I'm just asking questions. Like, don't get mad at me.
Do you want
I
me to
could
go
be
get our
totally wrong.
tinfoil hats?
I could be wrong.
We'll start.
It's okay to ask
we'll start
questions.
the session. We'll start the next video with our tinfoil hats on.
Anytime you hear someone say, "I'm just asking a question," I'm just curious. I'm just looking into it. Just disregard what they're saying. Saying that is a way for you to just buck out of whatever opinion you actually do believe, and you just want to have the net or the ability to back out of it and say, "Well, I would just ask a question."
Or you just like argue.
Yeah, you see it like in. Well, I'm gonna get political, but I can't stand. I think that is the weakest thing to do. It's just to do all this. Well, I'm just asking questions. It's just.
Please get those tinfoil hats. Yes.
Yeah.
Our next one, we're just gonna have our tinfoil hats, and we're gonna think of the most ridiculous things to say and just make up some wild theories.
Yeah,
that would be
awesome. The problem is like people wouldn't know.
Like Hershey's Kisses.
And last thing on the Twitter stuff, I don't know. Like I just don't want people to see me as a reactionary. Just it's one thing to be, emotionally or to be passionate and supportive. It's another to just look unstable and to look like you don't have any control over a reaction to something.
Or to look like that you would rather be right than support your own team. That you want the failure of something so you could be right instead of just supporting your team. Not to say you can't have fair criticisms. Mm-hmm. But like to tell your own players who we obviously need to even say like, I'd transfer if I was him. Then you need a transfer. You go ahead, transfer fan bases. You pick another school, you go root them on. Because my Lanta. My southern Midwestern accent came out in that one. But my goodness, no. Just...
It's just ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just not wired that way. I don't get it. I'll never understand it. But,
And regardless of sometimes what some people think, we are not in this for clicks and views for the sakes of clicks and views. Chad's not even verified on Twitter. He can't even get...
Yeah, I can't $10
a month on Twitter for anything that he puts out there.
By the way, you want to talk about someone who could just tear up Twitter with interactions? I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to get verified, and we're just going to go straight up, just clickbait.
Oh my gosh,
we're going to go straight up clickbait.
There's so much more. As someone who is verified, and as a female, there are plenty of ways I could get clicks and views for some money on Twitter, but...
Godly woman won't do it.
My pride is
Jesus
worth
in a quick way.
My pride is worth more than that. And I could... And just to say things, I've just never been the type to say things just...
Yep. End of the day.
For attention and views. And we like our community that we have with you guys. So obviously we're going to say things just to get your opinions and to get things like that. But it's just not all like, what's the most outrageous thing I could say to get 10K plus views?
Right.
It's just not... I don't really care.
And I'll never be on the fence. I can't stand people on the fence. I have an opinion, have a position, defend it as well as you can. At least you have the ability, at least you have the gumption to have an opinion and express it. I can't stand people that are on the fence about something. Like, make up your mind. It's either right or wrong and go from there. That's just me. It is what it is. Let's see if we can find anything else we need to talk about.
Trust us, Texas fan. Imagine your own fan base wanting to bench a quarterback. Oh no, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Quinn Ewers? Yeah, Tyler seemed like a great guy, so I hate to just start a relationship off like this. I don't think I think he's average. He's a solid college quarterback. But I think the idea of benching him, I don't know what you've seen from Arch that would make you think he's going to be like the end all be all. But hey, this is a great way to go to Zeno Zone in the college football playoff coming up.
Yes.
Because, talk about it.
Okay, so Zeno should have gone 5 for 5. Okay. A&M, of course, like an Aggie, you're going to drop the ball in the final little bit, okay? And you're going to flip and lose that game. And then, Cam Ward, sir, Zeno has a bone to pick with you. He picked Miami. You guys were winning the game. You sit out the second half and just watch your team go down, 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 down. And your thought isn't, you know what? As a leader, I should go in there and win the game for my team.
As a man, I should go in there.
Okay, as a man, you can say that. But as a former athlete, my thought process would have been, well, for one, I just would have wanted to be in there to help my team. But regardless, Miami should have won that game. So those two teams just wanted to drop the ball for Zeno, so he went 3-5. But just...
Yeah.
However, he gets a kind of shy, nervous, you can see the little smiley face. He gets like a kind of shy, timid smile because 3-5 is still pretty good for him. and he's up to now 13-15 record overall. But still mad about the 2 losses because
13-15 is not bad, really.
for a dog.
For a dog.
I mean, come on.
Based off treats? Are you kidding me? Dog's 500.
But anyways,
All right.
so yeah, he's gonna make some picks, and the game that I pulled, the extra game is going to be Michigan Alabama. So the names won over the matchup. I say the names won over the matchup in the sense that I believe South Carolina Illinois maybe was like higher, like a ranked matched up, but this one was more like the names. So that will be the 5th game. Other than that, they're all playoff games. So
yeah, he did. Actually did really well. Wow.
I know.
All right.
He could have gone 5 for 5.
Here we go.
Shout out to Arkansas.
The howl in the bags.
It never gets old. We always giggle after it. So I underestimate my dog's intelligence. So he only wears that football bandana when we do the picks. He doesn't wear them for anything else. He wears like his OU stuff, or he has a Dallas one too. But he only wears it when we're making the picks. So I like put it on him, and I'm like looking around for him because I haven't quite put everything up yet. And I look over and he's sitting on his spot, like waiting, like, all right, I'm ready, let's go. Like he's just ready to make his picks. I'm like, wow, I didn't even think that like that would even register to you. So then he used to be pretty bad about waiting to get really excited, but now he's like, all right, tell me to go or tell me get it, and I'll just wait here. Like he's getting a lot better with waiting as well, which he has to wait for. Like that's a trick he knows, but I don't know why it was kind of more complicated with the picks thing. Maybe because I had to. So he was like, wait, I want both. We also hope he's wrong with the Ohio State pick. Funny enough, I actually had texted Chad because he wasn't home when I did it. I was like, look, Zeno must be a closet Ohio State fan because he has chosen them essentially every time.
My gosh, was he right against Tennessee?
Wow. He was. But he's pretty much picked them every time, so it's kind of wild. I was really hoping for Oregon there. He did agree with me on Notre Dame, though. So he might... but
No,
I picked. He clearly put it down. Here, look. He said you would win. He didn't say he was rooting for you. There's a difference there.
Our dog's objective. He's about dubs. Doesn't mean he'll like it, but he's going to take dubs where he can get them.
Right. I'm pretty sure we already made our picks too, which we also.
Yeah, let's talk about
picked them.
Just real quick. Let's go through the games with who we think is going to win each one.
We already
Texas,
did.
Arizona State. Well, let's do it again. Texas, Arizona State. That weren't here
Texas.
for Saturday. Texas is going to. That'll be a game for maybe a quarter and a half, and then it won't be. That won't be. I know Ken Scadabo is confident in himself. That's great. He doesn't block for himself, and he doesn't defend the skill position
Take
at
that
Texas.
off. No offense,
for
Tyler. You
himself.
gotta go.
Yeah, my bad. I forgot. Smart poke. Yeah, thanks, Sean. But no, so there's Texas will win that. That won't really be. I don't think it'll be much of a game. I hope I'm wrong. If I am, I will clip my own self saying this and tweet it out and be laughing the whole
Or
time.
Arizona State. If anybody from Arizona State happens to see this, go ahead and clip it and show it in the locker room. Maybe give them some extra motivation. Not that they really care what 2 people from Oklahoma think, but you never know. Just
Right.
add it to that billboard. No.
Penn State,
Billboard.
Boise State.
No.
What are you
Penn
talking
State. What do they pin it to? Bulletin board.
about? I was
said-
so confused.
I said
was thinking
billboard.
Although
I guess a billboard could work too.
Yeah.
But I meant like bulletin board. Penn State.
Penn State.
We're both on
Boise
Penn
State?
Yeah.
Stop giving away our picks for games.
We already picked last week.
By the way, T picked Arizona State. I have that here now.
No, I didn't.
I should.
No, I didn't.
There we go. Yeah. Put in the comments who y'all think's gonna win too. If you don't mind. Oregon, Ohio State. I'm going Oregon.
Oregon. Because
Do you think Ohio State will win? Pick them.
No. I think they could. If they played like they did last week, 100%. The problem is, I also think that this game, that Oregon-Ohio State game, is the national championship, or should be. I think those are the two best teams, but no offense to anybody else. Or I guess offense, I don't really care. But the fact that they're playing right now to me is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
they're
reseed it. But
Notre Dame,
I don't even want to pick Ohio State because I don't even want to cheer for them just to be right. So I'd rather root against them and just be wrong if they happen to win. That makes sense?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
So
Notre Dame, Georgia, Notre Dame, oh gosh. It's how much do you think Georgia's better without Carson Beck than Notre Dame? I think they're still better.
I
Man,
like
but
Marcus
Notre Dame
Freeman,
is
so I
good.
already stood by Notre Dame just because I like Marcus Freeman. But
See,
I'm fine with being wrong.
That's the difference between I can't be
Persuaded.
persuaded by looks. Something so vain and shallow as
Okay,
looks.
if Selma Hayek was
I
coaching
do deep
Notre
level
Dame,
analysis
you would
here. I do deep analysis, and what I think, I'm gonna cut the Bulldogs.
I know you already picked this last week. I'm picking who we picked.
But you gotta wait to think about it. You could have gone back. Woman of character. That's why I married her. Woman of character, right there. She could have just totally picked different people.
Because here's the thing: if I pick different people, and like, let's say I did better this week than last week, you
mean
would
like
just
you mean like you picked Texas this week?
bring up that you're annoying. You would just bring up, well, remember when you did this? So like, no, I'm gonna stick by the picks that I had last week. So
Well, okay. Maybe I would. Maybe shoot. We don't know.
I've been married to you 4 years, and I've known you for basically 20, so I know exactly what you would do.
I like their backup quarterback too. He's a pretty. He played with some moxie. Wasn't afraid. Wasn't like.
No, for
was
sure.
Go
But
ahead. Sorry.
Backups are harder.
Oh yeah. I hear
Although I think Carson Beck is also underwhelming, so there's that too.
Sid the Sloth.
That is not nice.
The guy's a millionaire. He has a fine life. Trust me. I'd rather look like him. I'd rather look like Sid the Sloth and be an NFL quarterback than I'm pretty happy with my life actually. So,
Right.
But
I mean,
like, he's
look,
fine.
I'm so.
Hey, I'll tell you what. He ain't afraid to show people what he looks like on Snapchat.
part
Not
of-
that much.
Oh.
Hey, Carson, you need to be more worried about scoring on the football field than on Snap, okay? How about that?
Stop. I don't know. I think the backup quarterback stuff, the problem is, man, Georgia's just big. But I already said Notre Dame because for Marcus Freeman, I'll probably be very wrong because Notre Dame tends to always, they're a lot like us when it comes to the playoffs.
Man, dude. Don't joke. And speaking
They
of
go
not
there
like
and
us,
don't do well.
how Texas? I was talking
Oh my
to you
gosh,
about
can we
this.
continue with picks? We don't want to talk.
That's all we have. That's all.
Oh, that's it?
That's
I'm
all
sorry, I apologize for being rude.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I didn't even come across her. That's fine. See, again, sternness. Deep. I have a thick skin. Can't offend me with that. That's why I can read Twitter all day. I used to have a problem when I was young that I would say controversial things just to start arguments on Facebook, and then I wouldn't even comment on them. I would just there would be 45 comments, and one of them would be me. And when it got a little dull, I would just stoke a flame.
I also watched him and my dad argue over the dumbest stuff growing up. When we weren't even dating.
My father-in-law, shout out to you. Love y'all. Hope y'all
They would just be arguing, but like debating and be perfectly fine for hours. I'm like, why is this fun? It seems horrible.
I don't know why it's fun. It's a good question.
I also don't like being yelled at, so don't yell
Not yeah.
at me. Like, they would literally just be like yelling at each other. Red face, and then it'd be like, all right, well, anyways. That's one thing I like about men, though.
We can do that.
No, I can do that. Women can't do that.
Last point about just actual importance of it, and then we can just close it up. But T and I were talking about it, and I was saying that it's like, this season has been first year in the SEC. If you were the biggest OU hater, I don't know if you could make a more painful way for Oklahoma fans to have gone through a season. To where you have the hardest, Florida and OU have the hardest schedules in the SEC. Then you make them go through that while Texas gets, what they get. And then you make them go through the whole year with 8 of their best players not being able to play on offense. So now you don't even that, you're fighting with hands behind your back. You lose the games that you lose. You get to fire a OC in the middle of the season. You have all these issues. Then you go to a bowl game in which you have all these guys just sitting out not playing. You lose that game. And at the same time, Texas goes to the playoff and they get the easiest road besides maybe Penn State. And they're going to play then if they make the semifinal, it'll be in Dallas. Alabama was crying tears and got the Cotton Bowl moved because they wouldn't want us to play the semifinal against them there. And now the semifinal that they're going to play in is in Dallas. It's just. I mean, how can so many things? It's just opposite sides.
If you're a
of the
Texas
spectrum.
fan, your stars are aligned. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If you're an OU fan, you hate seeing it, but if you're a Texas fan, you're like, wow.
And then
Seems
the
to have
one,
all worked out for us.
and then the one team that beat you this year is losing they lost their starting quarterback.
I'm sorry if you think Texas still had a challenging schedule. That's just bias towards your own team. You played the bottom half teams of the SEC. That's not to say that other teams can't step up, but we have said in other pods that you still had to win the games you played.
Yeah,
so you still had to win and play. But if you look at it, there's no comparison with schedules, and there's no comparison your route either. So it's just, you could be no one on OU schedule. Get at it. Okay, you're just trolling at this point. You have to be trolling at this point.
I don't even know what was said.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, look, Tyler, we played one good team and got boat raced. We love a good
I like Tyler. I like
non-biased.
objective people.
And here's the thing, like,
Okay.
maybe we're just very unbiased.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it depends. Yeah, this year's iteration. I mean, if you're looking at two healthy teams, I think we do as well as Texas or any. I mean, I think we're as good as anybody.
Yeah. I mean,
assuming that they'd be comparable, and then you'd have a proportionate increase in their ability from last year.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. But it's all what it's. Doesn't really matter. It's just fun.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year of college football in general. I mean, it's been kind of wild. And I feel like so many times I've seen some of these teams, Ohio State being one of them, where I'm like, holy cow, they are so stinking good. And then I watch them play the Michigan game specifically, and I'm like, what in tarnation is this?
Mm-hmm. That's weird, man.
Which to me is, best. You have to show up every game. You can't be, nonchalant. I truly think they were just looking ahead to the Big Ten, thinking like, oh, we got this. We're playing at home. We're gonna go. They were at home, right? Yeah. Ohio State.
Yeah.
They were thinking we're gonna go play the Big Ten, then we're gonna get into the college football playoff, blah 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 blah. So you can't overlook people. You still gotta win. You still gotta win the games, but it's just, I mean, it's not even a matter of opinion. It's a matter of like actual numbers. The comparison, but regardless.
All right, we hit everything. I think, but about an hour and a half. We don't talk about the Michigan game anymore.
Yeah, we technically usually only go an hour on Monday, so we were kind of getting kind of long.
Well, yeah, that's been fun.
But yeah, I hope you guys have a happy New Year.
Yeah, thank all y'all for joining. Please like the video before you go. Please like it. I'm saying on no shame.
We're getting better with asking.
Yeah, just like it. Takes 2 seconds. It'll go to your like videos. I don't know why people, it's no big deal. But yeah, just like it and subscribe if you want. Also, tell everybody about our podcast. Make 10 phone calls tonight and have those people make 10 phone calls.
Remember those chain texts we had in middle school?
Ooh, yeah, we could buy them. Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Where it was like, retweet for good luck.
Thanks,
Don't
Sean.
do that.
It,
That's what you could do.
Yeah.
Or it'd be like, if you don't forward this to 7 people, there's going to be a ghost outside your window. Remember those?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there will be. There'll be, ghosts and other things. Just tell everybody about it. Tell 10 people.
Okay.
At 8:30 at night, they would love you calling them and telling them about this show. So yeah, share it on Twitter, please.
Yeah, Stacey already did. Thanks, Stacey. Constant love.
Thank you, appreciate it. Hey, y'all rock too. Thank y'all for we do appreciate y'all taking time out.
And we'll be here all off season. I think a lot of other people take breaks, but no off season here at the Voice of College Football Oklahoma.
No off season in the off season. That's deep.
That's their actual logo.
Who?
Voice of College Football.
Yeah, I like that. That's what I'm saying. Like that's deep.
Oh.
It should.
Anyways, we'll be here every Monday.
Yeah, thank y'all for joining. It does mean a lot to us that y'all take time out to either listen or if you're watching to watch. So we appreciate it. Hope y'all had a great Christmas, a great holiday, and that you have cool plans for the new year. T and I will be, in our living room waiting for the clock to hit 12 and then going to sleep.
Woo!
I think. Unless someone has tickets to an absolute amazing New Year's Eve party, hit us up. We can't afford to pay for any of the tickets, but if you want to give us some for free, then we'll discuss it. So.
The extrovert in him's coming out.
Half of getting something in life is asking for it.
Okay.
There you go. All right. Thank y'all. Y'all rock. We appreciate it.
Bye. Happy New Year. Boomer.